All right, welcome to another episode of the Cassels Cast. My name's Eamon Cassels. Joining me today is going to be Ryan Drouin. To continue our season preview series, this time we're going to be talking about the Denver Nuggets and the Orlando Magic. Should be a ton of fun, so let's just get into the episode. All right, joining me now is Ryan Drouin to discuss the up-and-coming seasons for the Denver Nuggets and Orlando Magic. How you doing today, Ryan?
I'm doing good. How you doing today, Castles?
Good, good. Yeah, I'm excited to get into this pod. Two really good teams, two teams that had super active off seasons, so it should be a ton of fun. We're going to start off with the Nuggets. Definitely had one of the better off seasons in my opinion. I think the first thing we have to talk about is the biggest move they made, and that's swapping Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson. There was a future pick included there, but ultimately, what did you make of the trade, and how do you envision Cam Johnson fitting in with this team?
I think Cam Johnson's going to fit in great with this team. We've seen how Nikola Jokic has been the central hub for this offense, getting players open, getting players quality shots, higher quality looks, getting them easier shots. He just draws double teams so easily. So it'll be easier for Cam Johnson to get open, especially at the forward position. Cam Johnson, this past season, great volume three-point shooter. Despite playing on the Nets, he was incredibly efficient. He shot 7 threes a game, just about right around a 40% clip. Slightly worse offensive numbers, but I think he's a better playmaker, ball handler, better connective passer. Shooters always seem to get better playing with Jokic. And also, the other thing, people are kind of sleeping on MPJ's availability the past couple of years. He's been much more available. People are saying that Cam Johnson provides more availability when they've been just as available the past 3 seasons. I'd say the past couple of years, Cam Johnson has been playing. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but he's been playing like 60 games, just about the same as MPJ. So I don't think they're going to get better in that regard, but they did manage to split up MPJ into 4 different players, which is incredible value. I think the reality is MPJ was a role player on this team, and paying $40 million, $45 million for a role player is a little bit outrageous. How do you feel about the Cam Johnson signing?
Yeah, absolutely. I really think you nailed it on all angles there. I mean, I think the point about the availability is crucial because I think that's one talking point that's a little bit off. But other than that, I feel like Cam Johnson's just a massive upgrade from Michael Porter Jr. in every way. He is a better ball handler, like you said, better connective passer, better decision maker. I think he's a little bit of a better shooter. Maybe that's just because I think MPJ benefited from playing next to Jokic, and just within this Nugget system, he's going to thrive. And then I would say Cam Johnson is a little bit better of a defender, but I think the really crucial thing is just how much cap space they were able to open up by offloading MPJ's contract. And then, like you said, they were really able to split into a bunch of players with the offseason signings they were able to make because of the Michael Porter Jr. trade. So, yeah, I think it was just an awesome move and really one of the best moves of the offseason from the Nuggets perspective. And on the flip side, I think it was one of the worst moves from the Brooklyn Nets perspective. I mean, I think you need to include more than one first round pick when you're sort of taking on Michael Porter Jr.'s contract because, like you said, it's really one of the worst contracts in the league, especially in the second apron era that we're in. So yeah, I didn't love them only getting one first round pick back there. And I thought they just could have gotten a little bit more for Cam Johnson. He was a guy that, I mean, we look at like the Desmond Bain trade, which we'll talk about with the Magic later. But you look at his return. I'm not saying Cam Johnson's a lot worse than Desmond Bain, but I think he could still yield, two first round picks, something like that. And for a rebuild the Nets team, I think that's more of the direction they should have gone. But yeah, from the Nuggets perspective, just an absolutely awesome move, and I'm super excited to see Cam Johnson in this Nugget system where by all accounts he projects to just be an absolutely ideal fit. So yeah, I think it should be really awesome, and I think we're going to see him play some of the best basketball of his career. So yeah, I think we can move on to the other signings since we sort of hinted at it earlier. Jonas Valanciunas, they were able to acquire via sign and trade with Dario Saric, and they got him from the Kins, and then they were able to bring in Bruce Brown, bringing him back, and then sign Tim Hardaway Jr. So yeah, of those three moves, which do you see as like sort of the most impactful, and then what do you make of the other two?
So I actually wanted to point out the fact that Bruce Brown is coming back. That is one thing that I really wanted to highlight. Bruce Brown is one of the best players in terms of he's kind of like got that Josh Hart type of mold. He's really like a do it all wing type of player, exactly the type of guy that want to put in a system with Jokic, the type of player that Jokic will want to have on the court. And I think them getting a backup big was absolutely crucial. Jonas Valanciunas is going to open up their offense tremendously when Jokic is off the floor. In terms of off the court numbers, when Jokic is off the court, they have -8.5 offensive rating, which is just horrible when Jokic is off the floor. Having Valanciunas in will give them more of a free-flowing offense. He's a really good screen setter, great on the offensive glass. They can run big and play freeboard, and Valanciunas can eat down low. But I think he's going to play a very similar role to what he did on the Kings last year. Very limited minutes, like 16 to 20 minutes a game, not shooting very many threes, just setting screens, getting rebounds, and filling in those minutes for when Jokic is out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like Valanciunas is the biggest move just because, like you said, the on-off numbers with Jokic off the court have just been so jarring. And yeah, just being able to get a guy who he's probably not going to, like you said, play like 25, 30 minutes a game, but is going to be able to really keep the offense and keep the team as a whole afloat with Jokic off the court is huge. And yeah, Valanciunas is just a really, really solid role player, a guy that can just grab boards, play solid defense, score inside a bit. And yeah, just, I mean, excellent screen setter as well, like you said. So yeah, really perfect fit and just someone that's going to be able to help the Nuggets maintain an elite team without Jokic. And yeah, I think that's huge. And yeah, I mean, when you look at it last year, they were playing DeAndre Jordan in that backup five. So, I mean, that a big upgrade there with Valanciunas, and I mean, you don't have to go to DeAndre Jordan anymore, and you don't have to even like be forced to like run like Aaron Gordon at the five a little bit because Jordan was just, I mean, he was a great player, had an awesome career, but he's just totally over the hill. So a lot of times they would have to just throw in Aaron Gordon to sort of avoid those like minutes with him. Or so I think it's a great move. And then yeah, like you said, Bruce Brown is also really really nice piece for this team just because they needed an extra guy to sort of take up some minutes, round out their bench a little bit, and he was just so impactful the last time we saw him in Denver. Really, throughout his career, I feel like he hasn't been that great outside of Denver, but when we saw him in Denver, he was really one of the best role players in the league. So I think he'll really revitalize his career a little bit there. And yeah, he's just a guy that benefits so much playing next to Jokic, but he can also provide some really nice defense. Hustle guy, really solid playmaker and rebounder too. So I think he's going to have a big role with this team. And yeah, I definitely see him getting back to that 2023 form. Tim Hardaway Jr. probably the least impactful addition here, especially because they already had Julian Strother, who's just a super similar type of player. But at the same time, this Nuggets team was one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league. So just bolstering your depth and bolstering your 3-point shooting is really smart. And I thought that Tim Hardaway Jr. pickup was really solid. I don't think he's gonna play a massive role with this team, but just getting any sort of shooting off that bench is huge for this team.
And they just needed more guard play in general. Like they can't just rely on Jamal Murray to handle the ball all the time for their bench unit. While I do think he is going to play a good two-man game with Jonas Valanciunas, and that's going to work really well for them. They got to have more guard play in there, and I think they also have a good opportunity. They have a good set of players to be able to run bigger lineups like they were closer to their championship season. Maybe a little Jokic at point guard, Valanciunas at center action with some of the guys in there, and they can run big, they can run small. I really like the team that they've put together. I think they're going to stack up very well in the West, and they also have another player that isn't even being talked about really at all mainstream. That is a rookie that didn't play for them last year, Deron Holmes from Dayton. I know we're going to transition into breakout players at some point, but he is my breakout player pick. I think Deron Holmes is going to play a fantastic offensive and defensive role for this team. He has proven to improve as a shooter over time, especially in college and then in the summer league this past summer. He moves well off the ball, so he can play with Jokic. He's a great cutter, great screen setter. He rebounds, moves well, very strong handle inside, doesn't turn the ball over very much. He was proven to even play make a little bit out of the post when needed in summer league, and I just think that if they ever have injury trouble with any of their bigs or any of their forwards, and Deron Holmes needs to come in and play a bigger role, he's going to do a great job with that. He's going to be able to come in and fit that kind of stretch four defensive role, and all players that are slashers play well with Jokic. We've seen it with Christian Brown. We've seen it with Aaron Gordon. Trying to think of other type of slash. I mean, it's been Aaron Gordon for quite some time now, that kind of slasher power forward that he's played with, and I feel like Deron Holmes kind of fits that mold, so I think he'll fit perfectly on this Nuggets team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's a really interesting pick. I wasn't expecting you to go in that direction, honestly, but I like it. I mean, Holmes is definitely, like you said, a guy that gets kind of forgotten about just because he was injured as a rookie. But going back to the 2024 draft, I really liked him, and I was happy to see him end up in Denver. Obviously, it was terrible that he ended up getting injured in summer league and was out for the season. But a guy that can really provide a lot of what the Nuggets need, and yeah, just that sort of athletic rim runner type has always thrived with this Nuggets team. If you look at where there's potential openings for minutes, even with Brennan and Valanciunas, I do think sort of that big man and forward rotation. There could be some openings there for Deron Holmes, and I'm interested to see what role he plays. And yeah, he's really sort of that insurance piece. But yeah, this Nuggets team is so deep. I think really what their depth allows them to do is they don't have to count on sort of these young players like they did last year. But there's going to be opportunities that arise to get them minutes, especially just how good they're going to be throughout the season. Sort of like we saw with the Thunder last year, they were able to develop a guy like AJ Mitchell, for example, who was a late round pick, because they were just so dominant. There were so many opportunities to get these young guys some real experience. So I think that will be a massive benefit to this Nuggets team. And yeah, Holmes is a nice pick there. We usually sort of save the breakout players, but I mean, since you've already listed yours, I guess I can get into mine. And that would be Peyton Watson.
Yeah,
I think he played a really nice role with this team last year, and he's still a guy that's very young. So I have pretty high expectations for him this year. And I mean, you look at some of their additions, I think they still do need some of that defense. I don't think this is an elite defense. Like it really hasn't been in the Jokic era ever. So I think this team's always going to need some extra defense off this bench. And I mean, Peyton Watson's just so impactful on that end of the floor. He can guard multiple positions, just super versatile, disruptive off the ball as well. So I think he's going to play a really nice role with this team. And yeah, I mean, sort of similarly, I think there's some open minutes in that backup forward role. So I think he's gonna play a bit more than expected. I also like Jalen Pickett and Julian Strother, but with the Nuggets moves this offseason, it kind of limits their opportunities comparatively. Watson, I think, is still going to have a lot of chances to play. And yeah, he showed a lot last year. Still a guy who's 23. And when he came into the NBA a few years ago, he was just super raw. So I think he's just going to only get better. Showed a lot as a shooter last year, actually, shooting 35% from three, which isn't great. But the year before, he shot 29%. So steady improvement there. If he can improve a little bit more as a shooter while sort of remaining this just defensive menace and really athletic inside scorer, I think he can have a really solid role with this team.
great pick there. Honestly, I was deciding between when I started out kind of looking through all their role players and seeing who could really break out, and I decided to like designate myself to their bench, and really that was like those are my two picks, Peyton Watson and Deron Holmes. I feel like having a MPJ off this team really opens up their defensive versatility. I feel like Michael Porter Jr. really brought down a lot of their defensive numbers despite his massive size, which is just ridiculous. He's like what, a 6'10" forward, and brings negative defensive value. Not even just like average defensively. He's actually a negative defensive player. It's quite preposterous. Just not the type of player you want on your team. Perfect for Brooklyn. Him and Cam. Can we also talk about how he puts up more shots in the fourth quarter than he does in any other quarter, and he misses more shots in the fourth quarter than he does in any other quarter?
I had no idea. That's crazy.
I had to dig deep on basketball reference for that one.
Crazy, actually.
He, I don't have the exact numbers on me, but I know he in fourth quarter he takes like I want to say two, maybe three threes just in the fourth quarter.
Jeez.
It's
I
a
mean,
bad look.
there's some just hoops IQ stuff that's just like, what are you doing? Like, all due respect, like,
I
what are
mean,
you doing, man?
he has Jokic on his team, but but talking about the defensive versatility thing, a lot of the guys that they picked up, I would say, besides for Cam Johnson, while he is a slightly better defender than Michael Porter Jr., a lot of guys that open up defensive versatility in their lineups, Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., Jonas Valanciunas, while not perfect defensively, is still gonna, I would say, hold his own. I don't think was Jonas Valanciunas last year really exposed as a defender, or was he just on bad teams? I mean,
He's just kind of on bad teams, yeah.
I've seen him be a perfectly competent defender on the Pelicans, but that was some years ago now. And just I think that the defensive versatility in these lineups is gonna open up a lot, especially with Christian Brown improving as a defender. I even think I know you wanted to talk about Jamal Murray and his down year. I think I think Jamal Murray is going to get less minutes this year. Last year was his career high in minutes per game, and I feel like that stunted his efficiency numbers a little bit. I am a believer in good coaching and trust in good coaching. And while I think it was a bad decision to fire their coach at the time that they did, with the situation that they were in, I kind of like how they cleaned house. Scott Adelman, great coach last year. I really thought the Clippers were going to win that matchup after they fired their coach, and he was able to prove himself. And I'm just a believer in good coaching, and I think he's going to kind of let Jamal Murray step back a little bit, maybe play 28 to 30 minutes a game, take better shots, be more efficient. I think he is still an elite offensive weapon that the Nuggets will be able to use very well, but I think this year his numbers could go down just because there's so much offensive talent around him, while I think his efficiency is going to go up from last year where he kind of came up short.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good point about the minutes. I mean, with this Nuggets team last year, they were really one of the worst benches in the league. And now I actually think they have one of the better benches. So I think naturally that takes pressure off really all the starters, but especially Murray, who's been pretty injury prone throughout his career. He has stayed healthy the last few seasons, but I mean, he has had his fair share of trouble with injuries. So I feel like that'll be huge. And then, I mean, especially like Bruce Brown, we saw him in that backup point guard role a little bit last time he was with the team. And even a guy like Jalen Pickett, who can handle the ball a good amount, and I'm a big fan of. And then, of course, you have Nikola Jokic, who's just one of the better ball handlers, despite being a 7 foot center in the league. So yeah, I think they have enough there to sort of take some of the pressure off Murray, and I think that will be huge. And it's really about focusing ahead for the playoffs. And yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, it shocked me when they fired Mike Malone because there was like 3 games left in the season or something crazy. Um, but at the same time, it probably was the right move, and they were able to have some success in the playoffs. That I don't know if it would have been possible if Malone was there, because by all accounts, there was just a ton of dysfunction with him, the players, the front office, everyone. So they kind of just cleared house, which was totally shocking. But I mean, they took the champs to 7 games, and they very well could have beaten them. But throughout the series, at times, I feel like they look like the better team. So yeah, I think that really does bode well for them. And by all accounts, it looks like the team responds to Adelman, and he's a great coach. We can get into the Murray conversation a little bit more. I mean, I think for him, it's just really about consistency. And I mean, the numbers look fine, but there's just so many times throughout the season where he's just so inconsistent. And really, at times, especially in the playoffs, I would say, it looked like Aaron Gordon was their second best player. I mean, Murray's always going to be that like second scoring option next to Jokic, I would say, but just what Gordon brings to the table as an all around player, he kind of looked like their second best player at times. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, is there anything else you need to see for Murray, whether it be like a consistency standpoint or just like how do you think he gets back to that like 2023 form? Because he was just really looked like one of the best second options in the league, especially in the playoffs.
I think for the betterment of the team, I really think he needs to play less minutes and take better shots. And if his numbers go down because of that, I think that's something that he just has to accept. We may never see that 2023 Jamal Murray again. But if we can open up this offense and Cam Johnson can start producing at a level that he's never produced before, or Christian Brown can take the next step offensively, or Aaron Gordon can produce at the rate that he did last year, and Jamal Murray is still efficient, we're going to see something in this Western Conference with the Nuggets and the Thunder that we may have never seen before. I think this is the most consensus A1B scenario between the Nuggets and Thunder that we have seen, and it's going to separate the Western Conference.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. We're going to get into that in a bit. But yeah, especially with the devastating Fred VanVleet injury, I feel like the Thunder and Nuggets are really head and shoulders above everyone. I mean, obviously, you have to give the Thunder their respect as the defending champs. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, the minutes for Murray will be huge. And they could almost have like a collective second option, especially with Cam Johnson there, assuming he's super consistent and we think this addition is going to be as good as it looks. Between him, Gordon, and Murray, I feel like they could have like a sort of collective second option next to Jokic there. But yeah, I mean, I could potentially see at the same time, I could potentially see him really coming alive in the playoffs. He hasn't totally the past 2 seasons, but in 2023 and even before that, he was just an elite playoff performer. And I could see him maybe having a little bit of a backseat in the regular season, maybe bumping down to like low 30s in minutes. Because, I mean, like you said, there's really no reason for him to be getting 36 minutes a game. And I don't think that's necessary with the upgrades this team has made to their depth. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, in the playoffs, I could potentially see him coming alive, especially if he sort of has more of a laid back regular season, I guess, just because he might not have as much pressure or responsibilities on him. He could come alive for that playoffs. But yeah, it's just a consistency thing I feel like with him. I mean, there's been so many jokes online about this, but it is really true. He tends to perform the best against sort of the better teams in the league and in the bigger moments as we saw in the playoffs, really throughout his career, but then just like those random games against like a New Orleans or like a Utah, he might not be on his A game. And I think that, that is a little bit problematic, even if those teams are clearly worse than the Nuggets. I mean, throughout an 82 game season, I think consistency is super important. And I also think just in a grueling Western Conference, even though the Nuggets on paper have one of the better teams, they do need consistent production. And yeah, like you said, like decision making and efficiency will be something to watch with him. I don't think he's ever going to really, at this stage of his career, be that good of a defender, but I mean, you never know. I mean, especially with a bit of a lesser role, maybe he can buy into that end of the floor a little bit more. The next guy we got to talk about is Aaron Gordon because he was just absolutely fantastic last year. I mean, I've always been a big Aaron Gordon fan, but at the same time, I didn't totally expect that season from him last year. I mean, obviously in the playoffs, he was great hitting 2 game winners and I mean having some of the biggest moments. I mean, I don't think there's a guy in the league right now with a higher approval rating than Aaron Gordon. But yeah, do you think his season's sort of replicable, especially from a shooting standpoint?
I think it's tough because 43% from three is crazy. I can't in good faith say that's replicable. I think that is going to be his career high from three. But I think for the rest of his career, he could very well sit at a 40% clip from three. I mean, we also saw last year that he was taking 3.5 threes a game, where as the season before he was only taking two and making them at a 30% clip. So he's clearly improved as a shooter. And I think with these floor spacing lineups, I know we're going to be talking about the shooting in Denver a little bit, but I think Denver has a lot of shooting versatility in all of their lineups. I even think that if managed correctly, I don't know if they're going to be using him in this type of role, but Valanciunas can even hit the three if given the opportunity. We saw it in the EuroBasket, and we've seen it when he's played for other teams. But Aaron Gordon's a guy who has steadily improved as a shooter throughout his career, and the season before last had a down year and spiked up tremendously. And he's also improved a lot from the line. So his effective field goal percentage throughout has just gone up. So he's just been incredibly efficient, and I expect him to continue that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. 43% is just probably not sustainable, and that does look like a career year. I mean, 43% is really, really an elite level. Obviously, playing off Nikola Jokic helps a little bit, but at the same time, like you said, he really has improved throughout his career, and especially last season. I could see him shooting maybe around like 36, 37% on a similar volume. Maybe he shoots even a bit more because he proved himself as a shooter last year. But at the same time, I still think he's a super valuable player for this Nuggets team. And I don't think that's a knock on him by any means to say that he might sort of take a bit of a step back by like a 6% shooting margin there. But yeah, I mean, if you look at his career playoffs, he's actually been a really efficient 3-point shooter in the playoffs, which is sort of an interesting thing. He shot 37% from three throughout his career in the playoffs, so he really took that and then reached another level this season in the regular season, and yeah, showed it that he's capable of providing that 3-point shooting consistently. And yeah, I think he really obviously addressed this area of his game because it was like you're going to be playing off Nikola Jokic, being able to knock down those 3-point shots, mostly open 3-point shots, is just going to change everything for you instead of sort of having to play in that dunker spot or being a cutter. I think it just totally opens up his game. But yeah, I mean, outside of that, he's just so impactful. Really one of the better and more versatile defenders in the league. I feel like I say that about a lot of guys, but he's just really impactful on that end of the floor. I would say he's their best defender by a pretty significant margin, unless
Hmm.
Peyton Watson just takes a massive step. And for a Nuggets team that hasn't been that great on defense, that's just super, super valuable. I mean, you look at some of the on-off numbers, it's not quite to like the Jokic level, obviously, but he had some pretty strong on-off numbers, if I'm not mistaken. And then yeah, what he does as a interior threat's huge as well. Just an awesome cutter, super athletic guy, obviously, so they can use him in a lot of different ways. And he's really developed in Denver nicely. I mean, I feel like earlier in his career with Orlando, he was sort of viewed as that just like athletic dunker guy, but he has some really nice basketball IQ and he can make some nice passes as well. So yeah, I just really love his game and yeah, I mean, he's really established himself in my mind as like a clear like top 50 guy in the league and like I said, I mean, he's right there with Murray. I feel like he there's a strong case to be made that he's their second most valuable player. I'd still have Murray in that spot, but like it's close, man. But yeah, I think we can get into the 3-point shooting overall, as you discussed. Yeah, so the Nuggets last year they ranked 28th in made threes, which is pretty low. And I mean, do you think they did enough to address this need in the offseason, or do you think they're still going to sort of be like below league average in that regard?
I think they definitely addressed their efficiency issues. I feel like giving players like Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon. I know Aaron Gordon was efficient last year, but if we're seeing the step down that we talked about, then giving guys like Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, Jamal Murray less shots and giving them more, because we know that Jokic can generate quality looks for these guys. So if we just get more guys on the floor and we have Jamal Murray not playing through injury, Jamal Murray playing at 100%, playing more like 30, 32 minutes a game, we might see him take better shots, shoot a little better. We might see we might see guys like Christian Brown get open more often. We might see Bruce Brown take a step up from three. I mean, we saw Bruce Brown last year. This was an underrated pickup. Last year when he was playing for the Raptors at the end of the season, he was shooting 35% on 2.5 attempts. That's perfectly that's perfectly competent for a shooter. So if he can bump up his attempts and maybe keep that efficiency to around 35% or maybe even bump it up a little bit, that will be really good. Cam Johnson shoots at an amazing clip. He shoots a lot of threes. Tim Hardaway Jr., while around an average to below average shooter, I think will get a lot more open shots next to Jokic. And of course, all the players that they already have, Brown, Murray, Gordon, have all proven that they can shoot the three. I really am expecting a jump up in 3-point efficiency from Jamal Murray this year. I think that's going to be his biggest leap in terms of improvement this year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like with this Nuggets team, it's not totally efficiency concern with me. I mean, they shot the fifth highest percentage from three, and they've shown that they can be super efficient when they get those threes. And like we've said so many times, I mean, Nikola Jokic, he really creates that for this team in a big way. But I could definitely see this team even taking a bit of a leap up in that area and maybe being the best 3-point percentage team in the entire league. So I think that could be huge. I still don't. I mean, I definitely love their offseason, don't get me wrong. I just still don't know if they're going to be even like above league average in terms of made threes. And maybe that could be potential coaching focus for Adelman. Let's try to rack up these threes just a little bit because I think it's really a numbers game. I mean, we've seen it with so many different teams. And maybe Jamal Murray, he's a guy who might shoot a bit more threes because he has been sort of that mid-range guy. I mean, other than Cam Johnson, they just don't have that many like high volume shooters. They have a lot of really solid and efficient shooters, but they just don't have like that high volume guy. But yeah, maybe this season, a full season under Adelman, they might actually shoot a little bit more and it could be a little bit more of a focus. At the same time, I don't think it's necessary. Like if this team, I don't think they're going to be 28th again in three pointers made. I think they're going to be maybe, high 20s, low teens, something like that. Maybe even slightly above league average. I don't see them being a top 10 three-point shooting team necessarily unless it's a big system change. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, I think they can still thrive while being even like slightly below average in terms of made threes, but maintaining or even exceeding the efficiency level that they've been at for the last couple of years. I think we've kind of buried the lead a little bit. We've mentioned him several times, but I mean Nikola Jokic. I think we have to talk about him a little bit. I think the first question I would say is like, do you think this is the best supporting cast of his career, or do you still maybe look at that like 2023 team as a little bit better? And then just overall, what do you expect from him this season? I mean, he's posted mind-boggling numbers every single year, and he's really established himself as like the best player of this decade. So yeah, what are you expecting from him this season? And yeah, what do you make of the supporting cast overall?
I mean, I just think that it's while the MVP last year was close, I think that Nikola Jokic is still undeniably the best player in the world. I think that he is also undeniably a a top yeah, I'm gonna say it, a top 10 peak of all time. And when I say peak, I mean a 5-year span. Nikola Jokic has been this absolute offensive mastermind for the past what since 2019, 2020 maybe, maybe even before that. He's
Yeah,
just been he's just been an absolute offensive superpower. And he also just spent this past summer kind of, casually dipping his feet in the Eurobasket, dropping 40 points in 32 minutes, no big deal. Shooting 19 free throws in the round of 16, no big deal or anything. Of course, he was kind of held back by his team there, but now he's going into a season where he has the best supporting cast in the league. And coming off of a season where he probably had one of the worst benches in the league. And while he is a player that has still never had an all-star teammate, still, it's actually a little bit concerning. I think the depth and the supporting cast they have put around him this season has made up for it similarly to the way it did in 2023. I cannot in good faith put this team over 2023's team until I see this year's team on the defensive end. I think their offense is going to really open up here with some of their pickups in free agency, but I need to see some of these wing guys really be able to hold their own defensively. I need Jamal Murray to improve defensively. Christian Brown was great defensively last year, but I need him to continue that. Same thing with Aaron Gordon. But I really can't in good faith put this team over the 2023 Nuggets just because that team dominated the whole year. Well, I wouldn't say dominated. They were amazing the whole year, won the championship, and obviously Nikola Jokic's status hasn't changed since then. He's still the best player in the world. But I think that this team just I don't think there's an all-star level player that they picked up in free agency that I can say, yeah, that player's a game changer. That makes them better than 2023. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
yeah, for sure. I guess we can start with there because I get what you're saying, and I think it's definitely valid to like see how it plays out on defense. At the same time, I think like on paper, this is like by far better than 2023's team, especially from a depth standpoint. And I mean, I just really shoring up that center rotation behind Jokic is just a massive difference in my opinion. And then I would say even like bringing in a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr., just like a sniper off the bench, that's a big difference. Having like three really solid, who knows how much they'll play, but like Watson, Strother, and my guy Pickett. are three really, really solid like young players, and that's just something they didn't have. They had Christian Brown, who was a rookie that season, but they almost have like three versions of like Christian Brown in this team, and it's like how will they even like crack the rotation necessarily? So yeah, I feel like this team's just so much deeper, and on paper they should be better. Especially Aaron Gordon's playing at a higher level. We both agree that like the Cam Johnson, Michael Porter Jr. is an upgrade. So I mean, I do view this team on paper as better than the 2023 team significantly. At the same time, I do agree it's fair to like say, hey, how is this going to play out defensively? I mean, KCP was a massive part of that 2023 team. My guy, KCP. I know he had that show with the Celtics, but he's still my guy. I love what he brings to the table. But yeah, I mean, like he was massive to that team defensively, and yeah, I feel like it is fair to ask how are they going to replicate it. Even that team had some defensive concerns early on in the season, but in the playoffs and like second half of the season, they really locked in, and even fourth quarter, they were just always totally locked in on that end of the floor. So it's fair to wonder about that. I just think on paper this team's a lot better. At the same time, the West has gone a lot better, and it doesn't guarantee them a championship. We can talk about that in a second, but yeah, I mean, I like the other point about Jokic. I would agree. I mean, this is probably a top five peak. I mean, not many guys can say they've won three MVPs. And who knows? Some people think he should have won five, and I think that's totally reasonable. Personally, I think he
I think he
probably
should
should have
have the
won
Embiid
four.
one. I think he
Yeah,
should have the Embiid one
yeah. No,
for
all due
sure.
respect. Yeah,
All due all due respect to Embiid, and yeah, all due respect to Embiid, but I I really think that that really could have gone either way. That's kind of how some people feel about the SGA and Nikola Jokic race. Well, I believe that SGA had the edge because of the elite defensive presence he brought, whereas Nikola Jokic kind of had some shortcomings defensively. I feel like that definitely influenced the voters, and also the team defense that Shea was able to lead while he did have a lot of pieces alongside him. I also wanted to say that Jamal Murray in 2023 really turned it up in the playoffs. I would say that he was an all-star level player in the playoffs. And in this year, in order for this year's team to stack up with 2023's team, he needs to replicate that. And I personally just am not a Jamal Murray believer. I think that this year he's really going to take a step down in minutes for some of these other guys to come in and play and fill in that role offensively. While I do think he is a great talent, I just don't think that he's going to be able to replicate what he was doing in 2023 because he was just absolutely off the walls crazy.
yeah. I mean, I think that's a really good point. Actually, I mean, Jamal Murray in 2023 was a lot better, especially in the playoffs. He averaged like 26 points a game. And if you don't think he can reach that level again, I think it's definitely fair to say the 2023 team is better, at least for now. But yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. I mean, looking back at 2023, I remember I viewed Jamal Murray as a legit top 20 player coming off that playoff run. And
Just
now
so you
I
know, Cal,
can't get
he
there.
aver- just so you just so you know, Castles, he averaged 26 points a game and shot 7.5 threes at a 40% clip.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just don't see him replicating that. And and at this time he was also playing 40 minutes a game, and we saw his minutes dip last season just playing 36 and then 41 in the playoffs. Um, Actually, looking at his playoffs playoff numbers here, he shot 35% from three on 7 attempts, which isn't horrible, but I think that definitely could get better with limited minutes for him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's that same like because like I viewed him as like a top 20, top 25 guy coming off that playoff run. Now I think he's like 40s, 30s. Still a great player, by all means. But yeah, I mean, he was that like go-to guy for them in the clutch at times. I mean, obviously they had Jokic, but like a guy who can just really create his own shot and is just like a pure bucket getter. I think that is a big difference. But at the same time, I just viewed like their third and fourth options, if you will, being a lot better this time around. And then outside of that, I feel like everything about this team's a little bit better. But yeah, I get it. I mean, with the defense and you know, with concerns about Murray potentially not having seen it, I get taking the 2023 team over them for sure. Yeah, but like with Jokic, I mean, he's just a lock to be at least top 3, probably even top 2 in MVP voting, and I could definitely see it coming down to him and Shea again. But yeah, I mean, he's just such a generational talent, and yeah, I mean, I think he even goes underappreciated at times. I don't think people are fully realizing that we're legitimately watching a top 15 guy of all time. I would already have him in that tier. And who knows, by the end of his career, he could certainly be a top 10 guy, especially if he continues going this way. So I think we just have to appreciate Jokic's greatness, and I'm super pumped to see him with such a talented roster after the last 2 seasons where it was just kind of a bit iffy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited for this season, especially after I just saw him in the Eurobasket. I mean, he just is absolutely unstoppable, and obviously playing with EuroLeague rules, he's just right at home. Just absolutely fits right into his play style. Everyone around him is a great connective passer. Everyone plays well defensively, plays a good system. It's just a very fundamental basketball. All things that Jokic has perfected in his game. I mean, he's just at the center position. He is the best playmaker in the league. Not even just at his position. He's the best playmaker in the league, and I don't think that's up for debate. I mean, who would rival Jokic as the best playmaker in the league to you today?
I mean, I would probably still say Jokic, but the first name that would come to mind would be Luca. But
Yeah,
I'd still take Jokic over him. That would just be the
yeah.
first name that comes to mind.
I
But
would,
yeah, I would
I,
agree.
but I think connect in terms of connective passing, in terms of break starting the fast break off of the rebound, post playmaking, isolation playmaking, finding open guys in the corner. Jokic is probably one of the best players of all time finding guys in the corner open for threes. Just because of today's game, like you said, we're witnessing an all-time great player right now, and it's really nice to see unfold in front of our eyes. And I do like the changes that they've made to his roster this year. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he's a special player, no doubt about it. And yeah, I mean, it's just amazing to watch. I mean, sometimes like you're saying with the passing, it's like he has eyes in the back of his head, and it's really really incredible. So, yeah, I've never seen anything like it. Just a passer that's gifted at his size, and then just what he brings as an all-around player as well. Just a dominant scorer, dominant rebounder. We could kind of glaze Jokic all day, but I think we're gonna have to move on to the over/under, which is gonna be 45 and a half, or Jesus Christ, 54 and a half wins for this team. That would be the craziest over of all time. But yeah, 54 and a half wins for this team. Are you feeling the over, the under? And then, yeah, overall, how do you see this team stacking up in the West, both in the regular season and playoffs?
Well, a wise man once said, "Fortune favors the bold." I'm gonna take the over here. I think the Nuggets and the Thunder are gonna solidify themselves as the 1A, 1B in the West. I feel like they are really going to separate themselves here. While I do believe the Rockets are good, I feel like they took advantage of the lack of depth and the injuries of a few of the teams to kind of climb in the standings. I still see them as a lock to be a playoff team, especially adding Kevin Durant. But I feel like the Nuggets and the Thunder, especially after the Thunder winning last season and the Nuggets solidifying themselves this offseason, improving their depth, they are the two best teams. I think they are going to be two teams in the same conference with 60 wins, and I think they're going to separate out the Western Conference very nicely. And I just, I especially think that them playing against other Western Conference teams, the Nuggets are a matchup nightmare. Jokic is a matchup nightmare. I mean, with all these teams with all these teams not necessarily running small but needing more shooting in their lineups, not being able to run big as much without the proper roster composition, Jokic is going to embarrass lineups. And he's also one of the best players in the league at drawing fouls, drawing double teams, drawing attention, and he is just going to I mean, when you look at some of the other competitors in this league, I don't think the Rockets match up nicely with them. I don't think. Off the top of my head, the Warriors match up horribly with them. I don't like the Lakers match up with them. I mean, like DeAndre Ayton. Come on, that's chicken. That's chicken for Jokic. Like DeAndre DeAndre Ayton. It's not a Lakers episode. We could talk about DeAndre Ayton all day.
Jokic says that, I'm not even kidding. Jokic says that Ayton guards him the best out of anyone in the league.
He said that, really.
He did, yeah. Deadass. He's not correct. I think it was maybe a troll, but he did say that. Yeah,
He
no,
has to be trolling. He has to be trolling. There's no way. But anyway, I just feel like just to reiterate my point, I feel like a lot of these teams don't match up well against Jokic, and the reason for that is because he's one of the best players of all time. You would have to specifically build your team to match up against him, to throw double teams at him and be good defensively. And honestly, that's what the Thunder have done. I mean, if you look at them top to bottom, they are built to they are built to stop Jokic. They are a defensive unit. And with Chet and Hartenstein and all of their switchable wings, they're able to send double teams from anywhere. And also with their guards being elite defensively and being able to take advantage of him on offense, that's where I feel like the Thunder separate themselves. And I just don't see any other team coming close in the West, if I had to be completely honest. What's your opinion on that?
well, I don't even think I'm biased saying this. I'd say the Timberwolves, other than the Thunder, would be the team that matches up best with the Nuggets. If you look at them last year, I want to say they swept the Nuggets in the regular season. They beat them in the 2024 playoffs. They probably played them better than anyone in 2023. Maybe you could have some concerns with Gobert aging, but I mean, that front court is really rock solid and they've had a lot of success against the Nuggets in recent years. I'm not going to say the Timberwolves are going to make a finals run or upset the Nuggets or anything, but if there was a team in the West, I would pick to match up with them better than any of the other teams outside of the Thunder because the Thunder are obviously in a class of their own. I would have to go with the Timberwolves there. But yeah, overall, I'm definitely hitting this over. I don't know how much over it's going to be. I could see them maybe like winning like 56, 55, something like that. A couple years in 2024 they actually won 57. So I could see them maybe around there. I think the Thunder are going to remain in the 60s. And yeah, I mean, before the Van Vliet injury, I was really going back and forth all summer. I was sort of considering putting the Nuggets as that number 2 team regular season wise, of course. But yeah, after the Van Vliet injury, it really solidified it for me. I mean, I think the Thunder are still the number 1 team in the regular season at least. Just I mean, they won 68 games last year and Chet wasn't fully healthy. I see them at least still being a 60-win team. I don't think they're going to win 68 games or more by any means, but like somewhere in the 60s and then Nuggets like mid to high 50s for sure, being that second best team in the West. Yeah, I mean, in that, I'll say it. I think the Nuggets are going to win it all this year. I mean, they took the Thunder to 7 games. With just all the dysfunction that they had last year. I don't see Nikola Jokic retiring with 1 ring, and I think this is the best roster of his career. And it's recent history shows it's really really hard to repeat as champions. The Thunder are really well positioned to do so just because they're so young. They didn't lose anyone, of course. So of course, I'm not going to count them out, but at the same time, I think this Nuggets team has what it takes to match up with them, and they proved it in the playoffs last year. And I think they'll end up winning the West and ultimately winning it all. Yeah, I'm really high in this team. I mean, I think even if you look at regular season wise, last year they won 50 games with all the dysfunction going on with a really poor overall roster outside of Jokic. I don't see them not winning 5 or more games. So yeah, I think kind of easy call on the over there, and then yeah, just in general, I think they're head and shoulders above everyone else, along with the Thunder. I think those are just my 2 like heavyweight favorites to win it all right now.
Yes, sir, for sure. That's that. I couldn't agree more there. Yeah, I like your point about the Timberwolves, them sweeping the Nuggets during the regular season and beating them in the playoffs a year ago. I do enjoy that take, but like you said, Gobert, they kind of relied on Gobert to defend Jokic in that series where they won. And last year, every single time they played them, I'd have to look if Gobert played Jokic every time. I'm not entirely certain, but the Timberwolves really relied on him, and I think this is going to be a down year for Gobert. I think while he is massive and a great rim protector, I think he is getting older and he's going to be more injury prone, less available in back-to-back games, and he's also proven to shrink in the playoffs, and I just don't see that getting any better. I say that, but didn't he have like an incredible game last playoffs?
Yeah, I mean he did. Game 5 against the Lakers, but I mean
Yeah,
ultimately he wasn't great in the playoffs, especially on offense. I mean despite covering the Timberwolves, Gobert is a guy that like throughout my lifetime as an NBA fan, I haven't totally been the biggest fan of, in all honesty. I think he's still like a great defender. I mean, you can't deny that he's won 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards,
yeah,
but
of course.
at the same time, at 33, he's declining a little bit on offense. So I think it's fair to be concerned. I'm still pretty high on the Timberwolves overall, and I think they could, like, if there's a team that makes like a shocking run in this Western Conference, I think it's the Wolves. And I think they're above sort of everyone else in that tier. I mean, I'm kind of debating them with the Rockets right now because this whole like Van Vliet thing is just throwing me for a real loop. But I mean, if you look at like Clippers, Lakers, Warriors, maybe even Spurs, I'm high on the Spurs as well. I feel like the Timberwolves are like comfortably above those teams and better positioned than most to make a deep playoff run. But yeah, at the same time, I think it's the Thunder and Nuggets conference for sure. But yeah, I mean, unless you have any closing thoughts on the Nuggets, I think we can move ahead and go to the Orlando Magic, who are another super exciting team.
Yeah, I think we can head to the Magic now.